Sima, a graduate from North Muskegon High School, and I'm doing a presentation on Bacon's Rebellion and why it happened. Bacon's Rebellion was the first rebellion in the British New World colonies and would be the first conflict where citizens fought for their rights. The Central Powers, William Berkeley and Nathaniel Bacon, that led the government and rebellion were opposites. Governor William Berkeley was a veteran from the English Civil Wars who also fought on the frontier against Indians and was favored by the King of England. Bacon, on the other hand, was a young troublemaker. Nathaniel's father sent him to Virginia with hopes that he would learn and mature there. Nathaniel was William Berkeley's cousin by marriage, and William would treat Nathaniel with respect upon his arrival, even giving him a grant of land. There were many causes for citizens in Virginia to become discontent and led to the rebellion. Near Virginia, there were many problems for the colony of farmers caused by the weather. Hailstorms, floods, hurricanes, and dry spells all over the course of a few years left the Virginia colony with very little crops to sell. Local Indians had been both friendly and violent. Most citizens of the colonies wanted to get rid of nearby tribes as they provided them no benefits. Only people who owned land could vote, and the indentured servants and poor Virginians who did not felt disenfranchised. The most notable problem for Virginia citizens was their economy. Before tobacco really took off in Virginia, small farmers were able to make tobacco their cash crop. This would not last. When the big plantations from William Berkeley's inner circle were able to gain more slaves and tenants, and were given the best land to farm on from Berkeley, forcing the small farmers out of business. There were taxes on tobacco, and the prices of tobacco falling because of the overproduction would force the small farmers out of the tobacco business. The economy was also under pressure because of the restricted English market and growing competition from other colonies. In July 1675, Thomas Matthews' plantation was robbed by Doeg Indians. The Doeg Indians raided Thomas because of a dispute with Thomas for not paying the items he received from the tribe. Nathaniel Bacon demanded that the governor finance and support a militia to fight back, but Berkeley refused. The colonists were already enraged because of the plummeting economy, and after the raid, they saw this as an opportunity to push back nearby Indian tribes. The colonists attacked the wrong tribe of Indians, which led to multiple larger raids in Virginia. Governor Berkeley tried to resolve the issue by gathering information, then meeting with the leaders of the various Indian tribes. Things did not go as smoothly as Berkeley had planned, leading to murders of several of the tribe's chiefs. Governor Berkeley had asked for restraints from the colonists before this incident, but most colonists, like Nathaniel Bacon, refused to listen to Berkeley anymore. Nathaniel Bacon seized friendly Indians for stealing corn. Berkeley reprimanded Nathaniel, which caused discontent with citizens, and had to ask who was in the right. Governor Berkeley's policy was to preserve the friendship with the local Indians while keeping settlers friendly. To meet these two objectives, Berkeley would take gunpowder and ammunition from the Indian tribes and hold the long assembly to declare war on bad Indians. The Indian wars which resulted from this led to high tax pays to pay the army and to general discontent in the colony for having to shoulder the burden. The Long Assembly was accused of corruption because of its ruling regarding trade with Indians, which, not coincidentally, favored the traders who were friends of Berkeley. Regular traders now, some of whom had been trading independently with local Indians for generations, were no longer allowed to trade individually. Bacon, one of the traders adversely affected by the governor's order, accused Berkeley of playing favorites. Bacon was also resentful because Berkeley had denied him a commission as a leader in the local militia. After Bacon drove the nearby Indians from Virginia lands, Berkeley exercised one of his few instances of control over the situation that he had by riding to Bacon's headquarters with 300 well-armed gentlemen. Upon Berkeley's arrival, Bacon fled into the forest with 200 men in search of a place more likely for his meeting. Berkeley then issued 2 petitions declaring Bacon a rebel and pardoning Bacon's men if they were to go home peacefully. Bacon would be relieved of his council seat that he had won for his actions that year, but was to be given a fair trial for his disobedience. Bacon did not at this time comply with the governor's orders. Instead, he marched on to the next camp of Indians. Berkeley agreed to pardon Bacon if he turned himself in, so he could be sent to England and tried before King Charles II. It was the House of Burgesses, however, who refused this alternative, insisting that Bacon must acknowledge his errors and beg for the governor's forgiveness. Ironically, at the same time, Bacon was then elected to the Burgesses by the support of local landowners sympathetic to his Indian campaigns. Upon his arrival for the June Assembly, Bacon was captured, taken before Berkeley and the council, and was made to apologize for his previous actions. Berkeley immediately pardoned Bacon and allowed him to take his seat in the assembly. At the time, the council still had no idea how much support was growing in defense of Bacon. In full awareness, the support hit home when Bacon suddenly left the Burgesses in the midst of a heated debate over Indian problems and returned with his forces to surround the State House. Once again, Bacon demanded his commission, but Berkeley called his bluff, demanding that Bacon shoot him. Bacon refused. Berkeley granted Bacon his previous volunteer commission, but Bacon refused it and demanded that he be made general of all forces against Indians. Berkeley refused and walked away, but after several agonizing moments, Berkeley gave in to Bacon's demands for the campaign. With Berkeley's authority in shambles, Bacon's brief tenure and as the leader of the rebellion began. Shortly after the immediate crisis subsided, Berkeley briefly retired to his home at Green Springs and washed his hands of the entire mess. Nathaniel Bacon dominated Jamestown from July through September 1676. During this time, Berkeley did not come out of his lethargy and attempt a coup. But support for Bacon was still too strong, and Berkeley was forced to flee to Accomack country on the eastern shore. Feeling that would make his triumph complete, Bacon issued his Declaration of the People on July 30th, 1676, which stated that Berkeley was corrupt and played favorites. Bacon also issued his oath, which required the swearer to promise his loyalty to Bacon in any manner necessary. Even this tight rein could not keep the tide from changing, as Bacon's fleet was finally infiltrated by Berkeley's men and captured Bacon. This was to be the turning point in the conflict, because Berkeley was once again strong enough to retake Jamestown. Bacon then followed his sinking fortunes to Jamestown and saw it heavily fortified. He made several attempts at a siege, during which he kidnapped the wives of several of Berkeley's biggest supporters, including Mrs. Nathaniel Bacon Sr., and placed them upon the ramparts of his siege fortifications while he dug his position. Infuriated, Bacon burned Jamestown to the ground on September 19th, 1676, but he did save some valuable records in the State House. By now, his luck had clearly run out, and most of his men he could not control any longer. Few people responded to Bacon's appeal to capture Berkeley, who had since returned to the eastern shore for safety reasons. On October 26th, 1676, Bacon abruptly died. His cause of death is still unsure, as his body was never found. Shortly after Bacon's death, Berkeley regained complete control and hanged the majority of the leaders of the rebellion. He also seized rebel property without the benefit of a trial. In the end, 23 persons were hanged for their part in the rebellion. After an investigation by a committee from England, they sent a report to King Charles, and Berkeley was relieved of his governorship, and he would return to England, where he would die in July 1677. The first website here I used for research and a quote. The second one here was mostly used for research. This third one and this fourth one were used for research and pictures. And these last ones were just used for pictures. Thank you for watching.